How's it going, Dopamon fans? The NHL offseason is almost over, so it is time for our hot takes and predictions. If you're a longtime fan of the channel, you know we made 3 prediction videos last year and even got a few right, and decided that this year we're going to extend it to every Canadian team. So far, we already have a couple prediction videos out, so hit like and subscribe to stick around for more. And don't forget to comment your own predictions down below as we get on to our next Canadian team, the Winnipeg Jets, with number 1. Mark Scheifele will be traded by the trade deadline. It's no secret that Scheifele's disappointed with the state of the Winnipeg Jets. He wants to win and wasn't happy ending the season injured with no hope of a playoff performance. After the final game of the Jets season, he had this to say: "I obviously think there's a lot of big questions to be asked this offseason about where the team's going and what's all going to happen. I'd love to be in Winnipeg, but I'd also have to see where this is all going and what direction this team is going in, and I guess we'll see this summer." And then later, "I have to think about my career and what's going to be best for me. I have to talk to my agents and everyone in my family and stuff like that and figure out what I really want." Now, Mark Scheifele has not officially requested a trade, and according to Jets GM Kevin Cheveldayoff, he's expected to make the opening night roster. But Scheifele's words still give the impression that he's potentially open to being moved if there isn't a clear plan to address the team's needs and deficits in the offseason, and I don't think the Jets have. They've been relatively quiet this offseason, and with big news dropping that Captain Blake Wheeler has been stripped of his captaincy, I think it's very possible that Scheifele, while starting the season with the Jets, requests a trade and is traded by the trade deadline. And for a player who's been over a point per game the past 6 seasons, his $6.125 million cap hit for the next 2 years is a bargain. If he were a free agent right now, he'd likely be looking for north of $9 million per year on a long contract, somewhere between recent signings JT Miller and Johnny Gaudreau. So at this cap hit, and with some potentially even retained by Winnipeg, every contending team will be interested in adding a cheap top 1A, 1B center. Yes, his defensive game can be lacking and questionable at times, but his consistent offensive production on a weaker Winnipeg Jets team can't be ignored. He's 29 in the prime of his career, and these next 2 years on his contract could be the best chance for him to win a cup. Number 2, the Winnipeg Jets miss the Stanley Cup playoffs again. Let's get back to that Scheifele quote. There are lots of big questions to be asked this offseason about where the team's going. There are concerns about the direction this team is going in, and in an offseason where teams have made trades like for Alex DeBrincat, Jonathan Huberdeau, Matthew Tkachuk, we have the Jets, whose last trade was a deal on March 21st when they received Zach Sanford from Ottawa in exchange for a 5th-round pick. And despite doing a good job re-signing their own RFAs, the biggest unrestricted free agent that they went out and got was David Rittich at $900K for 1 year. No big-name free agents signed with the Jets like Nazem Kadri, Johnny Gaudreau, Andre Palat, John Klingberg, Ben Sherratt, none of them, no names at all. They don't look like they have a solid plan to immediately improve and get back into playoff contention. And if they potentially trade out older players like Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler, for example, this makes the team worse. But the pieces they get back could bolster a strong rebuild or quick retool. They do have really good pieces for a quick retool. They have a core roster of Kyle Connor, Nick Ehlers, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Mason Appleton, Josh Morrissey, Logan Stanley, who are all under 27 years old, or at 27 years old, and a bunch of young prospects who are set to enter the league like Cole Perfetti, Chaz Lucius, Brad Lambert, and Ville Heinola. If all the young talent clicks the way they're supposed to, Winnipeg will go through some growing pains, but in as soon as 3 years be a cup contending team again, potentially. That's too long for a guy like Mark Scheifele on a 2-year contract, and especially too long for a guy like Blake Wheeler, who's probably going to retire after his contract. So I think the path is clear for Winnipeg's long-term success, that they tank and lose now, and that means missing the playoffs for the second time in a row. Number 3. Kyle Connor will score 50 goals for the first time in his career. Now, in every full NHL season he's played in, Kyle Connor has scored at a 30-goal pace per 82 games or higher, and hit his career-high 47 goals last season. He's a natural scorer, but 50 goals is another level entirely, though not impossible in today's NHL. To start, I think the big question to answer is whether Kyle Connor is a perennial 30-goal scorer, with his most recent 47 being a fluke, or if 47 goals is the new benchmark that he's going to reach every year. In the 2019-20 season, the season was cut short, so Connor only managed to score 38 goals. Extended to include a full 82 games, that's about a 44-goal pace. Now, in the following COVID-shortened season, he scored at a 38-goal pace, a step down from the previous year, but he followed that up with his most recent 47-goal season, so he's reached about a 45-goal pace twice. And scoring in the NHL is the highest it's been in years. Last season, there were 4 50-goal scorers, the most since 05-06, which is also the last time there were as many goals. There's opportunity for even more goals this season, so I think repeating his scoring pace with 45 goals is a reasonable achievement for him, which makes my bold prediction that he reaches 50. He's only 25, with many years ahead of him to get even better and maintain this pace for a long, successful career. While I think the Winnipeg Jets might not be slated for a quick rebound into playoff contention, they can still build their future around a star like Kyle Connor. Number 4. Pierre-Luc Dubois will sign an extension with the Winnipeg Jets. Speaking of rebuilding around a star like Kyle Connor, and assuming they trade Mark Scheifele, it's imperative that Pierre-Luc Dubois remain a Winnipeg Jet for the near future to bolster their center depth. And I'm not talking another 1-year deal, but at least a 4 or 5-year one. Dubois has already been clear this offseason that he doesn't want out of Winnipeg, at least not soon, stating infamously, "You hear stuff that I want out of Winnipeg. If I wanted out, I would have asked for a trade. I didn't ask for a trade. Not for 1 second. It didn't cross my mind for 1 second to ask for a trade." And the contract he signed indicates that as well. He will be an RFA again next summer, meaning that Winnipeg has more control over him. If he really wanted out, he would have said so. Dubois is known for his candor. He wants to go out and prove he's worth more than what the Jets were offering him this summer, and I think next year will be the perfect opportunity to prove that he's worth it. Assuming Mark Scheifele is traded, that leaves a huge role down the middle for Dubois to step into, and for Jets GM Kevin Cheveldayoff, it's just good asset management. He traded a lot for Dubois, with both Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic now elevating their games last season, so it's best to have Dubois succeed and keep him long-term as well. I think Dubois will be eyeing that 4-year, $8.7 million a year contract that Laine signed with the Columbus Blue Jackets as a benchmark for where he wants to be next year. Number 5. Cole Perfetti will be top 3 in Calder Memorial Trophy voting for Rookie of the Year. Perfetti's season was cut short last year by an upper body injury. This kept him from finding more consistent minutes, which was a huge shame because he seemed to be too good for the AHL and finding more offensive consistency the more he played, scoring his second NHL goal and an assist in his second last game played. By all accounts, he would have been a roster mainstay had he not been injured. It also kept him from playing the rescheduled World Juniors games that took place in August, despite leading the tournament in points before it was cancelled back in December. So he has a lot to prove coming into this year to potentially earn a top 6 role. He's almost guaranteed to make the roster, but earning that top 6 position and potentially playing with the likes of Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kyle Connor could be the breakout rookie season that I predict. Most importantly, his injury kept him from reaching the minimum games required to be considered for the Calder last season, which makes him eligible this season. But the road is hard for him. For comparison, fellow 2020 draft picks Lucas Raymond, Anton Lundell, Dawson Mercer, and Seth Jarvis were ranked 4th, 6th, 11th, and 13th in voting respectively for the Calder last year. While Perfetti's season was cut short, he likely would have finished outside the top 15 for voting had he played a full season. But now he's a year older, a year better, and fully recovered, likely starting in the NHL rather than the AHL, so I think that a full season with the possibility of finishing on a top line with a potential 50-goal scorer, Kyle Connor, will be the breakout rookie season he needs to earn top 3 voting for the Calder, and is my final prediction. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, these predictions are just my personal opinion, so let us know in the comment section down below what you think. As well, check out the rest of our season predictions that we have on Canadian teams. We're Dopamon, 2 best friends at Talk Hockey News, analysis, we got live game coverage, we got mock drafts and scouting reports, and we're going to do some fun EA NHL content as well when it comes out in NHL 23. So hit like and subscribe to stick around for more Dope Hockey content. Peace.